The course redesign project at the University of Hawaii seeks to improve student learning and success, and to reduce costs to the student and institution. These are achieved by focusing on the quality of instruction and how effectively students learn. Technology becomes an integral part of the curriculum by enhancing instruction and focusing on the specific needs of the individual student. Using UH Manoa's ICS Introductory to Computer Science course as an example, Hei Okimoto, Director of Academic Technologies, explains how course redesign works with large, high-enrollment courses.
ICS, Introductory Computer Science, and this is a foundation class that almost all students at least at Manoa, that are in many majors need to have this course. The problem is the lecture hall only fit 300 students. And so with one faculty teaching the course and 2 sections, it meant we could only limit this course to 600 students per semester. And to get 600 students through this course, you had to have 20 different lab sections run by different grad students with 30 students each. So one of the ways that we apply course redesign is to look at what's happening in this, in the ICS course, and can we use some of the technologies that are available to help mitigate the instruction? So for example, what the ICS department decided to do is they decided to use iPods. Instead of having students come to these lectures twice a week with 300 students, they would actually take the lectures and podcast them. So students could watch them on their computer, listen to them on the iPods. We actually had little animations so they could watch the activities. So we moved the lectures from this confined 300-seat classroom to, quote, the internet. The lab sections were not so much set that you had to come from this time to this time, but then in fact the entire computer lab was available to the students with a few grad students in it, and students could come almost any time they wanted and work on the modules for the labs. And so we actually moved a lot of the things that they actually did in the labs onto the computer so students could go through it at their own pace. And so in that scenario then, we increased the number of students from 600 students taking the course a semester to almost 1,200 students with the redesign model. And I'm happy to report that actually the students did do well and our drop, failure, withdrawal rate also reduced.
Eric Matsuoka, professor of math at Leeward Community College, used the Hawaii Course Redesign project to streamline their remedial math courses and help students get onto a quicker path towards college-level courses and their major.
In the legacy classes, as I call them, one of the ways that we addressed low student success was to add another class. We kind of made the assumption that if students weren't passing, it was because they were having trouble. And if they were having trouble with learning the material in one semester, well, maybe if we split things in half and covered only half as much material and did it over 2 semesters, then maybe they'd have better success. So previously we had 7 classes below calculus in our sequence, which if someone wanted to go into STEM and they placed kind of low down in the sequence, they would actually have to spend 3 years before they'd even get to calculus. Who wants to go into STEM when it's going to take years and years? I can't afford to spend that much time in school, and you know, that's kind of the difficulty.
Because in the traditional legacy sequence, it takes a student a much longer to actually get to wherever they need to be, whether it may be calculus or pre-calculus or even just Math 103. Whereas in these accelerated and the redesigned courses, they can get through math quicker. And so a lot of students that I counsel, a lot of them like to go into nursing and they have to take specific science courses where they need math as a prerequisite. So the quicker they can get through math, the quicker that they can start the science sequence, and then the quicker they can get into nursing school.
Course instruction in the redesign is largely facilitated through a textbook accompanied by a set of DVDs, which contain a series of video mini lectures. Students are provided with an online code which provides them 24/7 access to online animations, step-by-step tutorials, and assignments. Students are able to watch the lectures and practice problem sets as many times as they need to in order to meet their individual learning needs.
The idea of redesign and the Emporium model is each student has certain skills that they either learned from before and just need to refresh a little bit, or can pick up really quickly, and others that they need more time to work on. Rather than make students sit through a lecture where we really can't tailor the lecture to any individual student's background or abilities, The software that we use tailors their assignments to what they need. If a student picks up something really quickly, then they don't have to do 40 problems of homework on it. On the other hand, if they have trouble with something, instead of letting them kind of get by with, it's okay if I don't know this, they're expected to try and try and try again on the problems that they had a hard time with. So the instruction becomes very individualized.
What I think for me, what it makes a special this class is that you can do it in your own pace. So like, let's say, you don't understand the first time, you can go to the video and watch it as many times as you want. Then you can go to the computer in Course Compass and you can see it step by step and learn, do it over and over and over again. Last resort, if you don't understand, then you can go and ask a professor. But I think it was amazing.
The students are the ones who control what they get help on and what we spend time on. And it's difficult because standard class is teacher decides what to talk about, how much time to spend on it. They go into class. Of course, we do a really good job of making it interesting and entertaining, but well, it's interesting and entertaining to us at least. If a student already knows 80% of it, they're really not interested and not entertained for the class. And by the time we get to the 20% that they don't know, we might have lost them. They might be busy texting their friends or something by that point. Here, you don't see students texting because they're doing the work that they need to do. They're getting practice on the topics that they need practice on.
For me, this class was very different in the sense where there's no lecture. I'm really used to a professor lecturing and taking notes, whereas this one was based on DVDs and the textbook, so there's a lot of learning on your own. Professor Matsuoka was there to answer a lot of my questions.
And he's always there to help you. It's like I'm working at my own pace, and whenever I have a question, he comes around. Rather than he lectures and I already know the stuff he's talking about, I end up just doodling to stay awake.
The benefit of completing remedial and introductory courses quicker so that they can start with the courses related to their major sooner is a significant plus for students. Controlling the pace of their own learning and keeping their motivation up plays a key role to their continued learning and success.
I think that they enjoy the redesign courses because it's at their own pace. Because my opinion of traditional classes is that when an instructor is up there and they're teaching it to you on the board, yes, you can ask questions, but if you're lost and you don't ask questions, the class just goes on. And I think that in these redesigned courses, if you don't get it, the computer system will keep working with you. Or if you're just not getting it, you can just go to something else and then go back to it later. So it helps with the motivation.
The fact that it's accelerated and you work your own pace, it's enough to keep me going. Because with school, it's you need to build that momentum, and that's what allows you to finish. Like my other classes it's just I'm waiting. It's like the next class I'm waiting, and by then it's like I rather just do this class and get it done with. Once you slack off and you start applying what you've learned, you just fall off completely, and like everything else, you just get impassioned. I think that's one of the things that most students, like college students, those are one of the main reasons why they just drop off completely and just go into the workforce without, like your AA or any training for anything else.
One unexpected but most welcome outcome of Leeward's redesigned math course was that the students have naturally turned to each other for spontaneous group work, collaboration, and assistance.
Everybody gets help when they need it, right as they're doing their work. And that's what's really incredible about this. That's one of the things actually I wasn't expecting to have seen so much. And when I am on the other side of the room, a lot of times students will help each other willingly. I don't have to assign groups. Even students who don't always talk to each other or something, if you give them an assignment that they're all working on, they're all on the same page, so to speak, they'll look over and go, hey, wait a minute, I tried that, it doesn't work. I mean, spontaneously, it's really wasn't what I was expecting to see. I'm really glad that it happened that way.
I think this course has benefited me by having me kind of learn things on my own and find different ways of approaching things as opposed to the professor or just doing it the professor's way. Kind of experimented with things on my own. Just kind of like, oh, does this work? No, not really. Try something else. And I like that I can collaborate with my fellow students and we talk about different ideas, bounce ideas back and forth between us.
Being able to work with the other students, hands-on, it helps. I learn a lot just through working with them as opposed to looking at the computer screen. It's good to collaborate.
It's collaborative thinking. There's nothing better. There's no better learning experience than collaborative thinking, like switching perspectives, like how did you get your answer? This is how I got my answer.
If you're always just learning one way, you might not understand it, but if you're talking to other students and they say, oh, try it this way, it's a lot easier to say, okay, this works better for me than how the professor says to do it or my other neighbor says to do this.
Hei Okimoto would like to see more courses at the University of Hawaii become a part of the course redesign project so that student learning really becomes the main focus and that student success rates in college will continue to increase.
I would like to see all of these gatekeeper courses or these large enrollment courses be redesigned so that not only will students have more consistency in terms of their learning regardless of who they take it from, but that the hallmark of course redesign is the focus on student learning. Not so much on how great a teacher or how great a faculty I am, how well I lecture, how well I present my material, but more how well you as a student learn. And so I think by having these foundation courses adopt this model, then we actually improve instruction for the greatest number of our students.
All the people that I know, I actually recommend it because even though it sounds hard, the class, I think it's way easier. And I think you will learn more than actually in the class. I wish more of the classes would be like that.
I wish more classes was like that. Like they not only did the teacher lecture, but the teacher also allowed the students to see how they think and how they remember or got concepts down. It helps with your learning experience.